Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is Mr. Briggs. I'm going to be teaching you a lesson today, lesson 2.1. The lesson is 2.1 homework, and I can use ratios and scale to solve real problems is our learning target for today. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, now there's a couple parts to this that I kind of put together. I used sort of a couple of different worksheets to sort of make a Franken worksheet, kind of a really neat combination of two different worksheets. One of them has the problems on it. The other has this really neat table that kind of helps prepare us for the rest of this problem. So we're going to start by actually filling out this table. So the table's at the bottom of the page, and what we have is we've got these 4 different drink mixes. We mix some concentrate, like Kool-Aid mix, or the powder that goes into orange juice or something like that, and water. And what we're going to try to do is figure out how much of this orange drink, using these different recipes, which one is going to be the best, will taste the best, which one will taste the most watered down, and how many batches will we need to make for a bunch of campers. So this is sort of a real world problem if you ever need to make lots of batches of something. So we're going to start out with mix A. Now mix A needs 2 cups of concentrate for every 3 cups of cold water. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a ratio of 2 to 3. And mix B requires 5 cups of concentrate for 9 cups of water. Mix C requires 1 cup of concentrate for 2 cups of water. And mix D requires 3 cups of concentrate for 5 cups of water. And what we want to do now is take these these ratios, and to kind of help answer some of the questions that come up later, make them into fractions, make them into decimals, and then make them into percents. I'm going to do the first one myself, and then I'm going to give you a little bit of time to do the rest on your own. So pay attention to this next step. The next step is I need to take that ratio and turn it into a fraction. Well, how much concentrate is in the very first one, mix A? Well, it has 2 parts concentrate over how many total cups are going into it. How many total cups? That's water plus concentrate. Okay? That would be 5. So this is 2/5 of concentrate. There's 5 cups in the recipe, and 2 of them are concentrate. Okay? So I'm just going to give myself a little note here to help me out. This is going to be the concentrate, and this right here is going to be the total, right? Now, I need to make that now into a decimal. And to make it into a decimal, I take 2 and I divide it by 5. I know that seems a little bit backwards, but we've done this before. We take 2 divided by 5. Go ahead and do that now. In our calculator, 2 divided by 5 gives me 0.4. So this is 4/10 concentrate, 0.4. Now in order to make that into a percent, I just take that decimal and times it by 100, and I get 40% concentrate. Okay? So we went from 2/3 to 2/5 to 2 divided by 5 to give us 0.4 times 100 gave me 40%. Okay? So now go ahead and take about 5 minutes or so, maybe less, you guys are pretty smart, and see how quickly we can get the rest of these made into fractions, decimals, and percents. Go ahead and stop the video now and solve this problem. Okay, so here's what we end up getting. We end up getting 5 over 4, 5 to 9 becomes 5/14, which turns into 36%, or 0.36. 1 to 2 ends up becoming 1 over 3, and 1 divided by 3 gives me 33%. 3 to 5 gives me 3 over 8, and 3 divided by 8 gives me 0.38, which gives me 38%. So now, ladies and gentlemen, do what you can to remember this table to help us answer the next questions we're going to have. Okay, let's go ahead now and actually answer these questions. Okay, the first one, question A, asks us which one is the most orangey. Okay, I know that's a really weird thing to sort of say, but which one tastes the most like oranges? I'm going to take up my little cheat sheet here, my little table, and which one percentage-wise, remember percents are always out of 100 so we can compare them really easily, which one has the highest percentage? Well, the correct answer for this would be A, but we do need to explain it. So we can explain that as 2 to 3 ends up becoming 2/5, which ends up being 40%. Now, question B. Which mix will make the juice least orangey? Well, which one had the smallest percentage? It was mix C. Mix C is a really weak percentage, only 33%. So, we're going to explain that using Math 2, where we take 1 to 2, which is our ratio, make it a 1 over 3 fraction, which then becomes 33%. So here we've found the best mix, we found maybe the worst mix, although it's probably healthier if you think about it, but who knows. And we used math to figure it out, to prove it, okay? And we use math all the time for this, to prove who's the best at sports, to prove who had the best scores on tests, to prove who had the fastest time. This kind of stuff happens all the time. But let's go ahead and answer the next questions. Okay, which comparison statement is correct? 5/9 of mixed B is concentrate, or 5/14 of mixed B is concentrate? Let's take a look at our cheat sheet again. And our cheat sheet tells us that mix B had a ratio of 5 to 9. But it had a fraction of 5/14. Why was that? Well, what did they get confused by? And this was a mistake that lots of us made at the beginning. That if we take 5/9, they're using the 5 as the amount of concentrate and 9 as the amount of water. Now, is that a fraction? Well, no, that's not even a fraction because this is a part, this is a part, but a fraction needs to be a part and a whole in order to work. So, 5/14 is the concentrate for the 5, concentrate, and the 14 here is the concentrate plus the H2O, plus the water, which makes this the correct answer, 5/14. But the explanation was what we were really looking for, wasn't it? Again, we want the math, we don't want the answer. Let's go ahead and to the next question. Okay, on the next one, we are going to assume that each camper is going to get 1/2 of a cup of juice. Okay? which means 1 cup equals 2 campers. Okay? 1 cup will give us 2 campers worth of servings. Well, we want to know how many batches of each mix are we going to need to make. Okay? How many total batches are we going to need to make for all of our campers? Well, they gave us sort of a hint here, that if we take the water plus the concentrate, we get the total amount of juice, and then we need to figure out how many batches will give us 200 campers. Okay? So, let's go ahead and figure this out. For mix A, maybe finding my cheat sheet is going to help me with this one. So I'll bring that into the view here. Okay, let me clean this up. For mix A, we had a total of how many cups? Well, if I take the 2 cups of mix, the 2 cups of water, there are 5 total cups. Okay? Times 2, because remember that is the number of campers that each cup, the number of servings per cup. Right? Each cup gives us 2 servings, so we get 10 servings per batch. But now I need to figure out, there's 10 servings per batch, how many to feed or give, juice to 240 campers. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's do 240 campers divided by, how much does each batch give us again? 10. Okay? Divided by 10 cups, or I'm sorry, not 10 cups, 10 servings per batch will give us how many batches? Okay? So think about what we're doing here. We got 240 people. Each batch will feed 10 of them. What do we end up getting? The answer we end up getting, ladies and gentlemen, is 24. So mix A is going to need 24 batches. Let's do mix B now. And if you're starting to get the hang of this and want to move ahead, go right ahead. Well, mix B, we get, okay, how much per batch? Well, 5 cups of mix, 9 cups of water, gives us 14 cups times those 2 servings, okay, because again, that is the number of servings per batch, and it gives me 28. So I can feed 28 kids for every batch of mix B. And all I do is plug the same thing in. I take that 240 kids, right, divided by the 28, because that's how many servings we get per batch. And I do 240 divided by 28. And what do we get when we do that? We get, not the best number, 8.57. We're going to have to make how many batches? Well, if we make 8 batches, it's not going to be enough. So let's go ahead and just say 9. 9 batches, because about 8.5. Okay? Next, mix C. Well, mix C, we get 3 cups per batch times 2, means we feed 6 kids on each batch. 240 divided by 6, we're going to have to make a whole lot of batches. I know that before I even do the math. 240 divided by the 6 servings per batch, we're going to have to make 40 batches of Mix C. Wow, that's a lot of juice to make. Next, for the next one, Mix D, I have a total of 8 servings per batch. So I take 200 times 2. Sorry, 8 cups per batch. Let me clean that up. 8 cups per batch times 2 gives me 16 cups per batch. If I do 240 divided by 16, what do we end up getting? We end up getting 15 batches on the dot. Okay. So now comes another interesting part to this problem. We need to figure out how much of each are we going to need to make. We got to kind of put it all together now. We know how many batches, we know what the ratio is going to be. We need to know, though, how many cups of each one are we going to have to make. So let's go ahead and solve. Okay? First, for each mix, how much concentrate are we going to need, and how much water are we going to need? How much concentrate, how much water? How many cups of each? Well, let's get our cheat sheets kind of up on this screen so that I can make a little cheat sheet here. I need the ratios for my mixes, and I need to know how many batches I'm going to need of each one. Uh-oh. Let me back that up. Made that picture way too big. Sorry about that. Okay. So, taking a look at what I had before. Mix A. Okay, Mix A. We know that I'm going to need 2 cups of concentrate and 3 cups of water per batch. Well, how many batches am I going to need? We already know that, don't we? So I just take the 2 cups per batch times 24. And I take the 3 cups per batch times 24. And 2 times 24 gives me what? 2 times 24 gives me 48. And 3 times 24 gives me 72. And all I did was take that ratio, take that recipe, and times it by how many batches I'm going to need. Easy. Now mix B. Well, I know I'm going to need 9 batches. Right? We agreed 9 batches with some leftovers. So, let's go ahead and take, we know we're going to need 5 cups of concentrate. We know we are going to need 9 cups of water. So I take 5 times 9, and I take 9 times 9, because again, that's how many batches I'm going to need, and I get my answer. Okay, 5 cups of concentrate times 9 batches gives me 45 cups, and if I take 9 times 9, I get 81 cups of water. Now, the next one we're going to do is we're going to do mix C. And for mix C, what was our ratio? I bet you remember already. 1 cup of concentrate, 2 cups of water. But how many batches am I going to need? This was the one that needed a whole boatload of batches. I needed 40 batches to make this one work. 1 times 40 gives me 40. So I'll need 40 cups of concentrate. And 2 times 40 gives me 80 cups of concentrate. And mix D required, what was the ratio for that guy again? 3 cups of concentrate to 5 cups of water times, well, how many batches did we need? Looking back up in our notes, we needed 15 batches each. 3 times 15 gives me 45. And what does 5 times 15 give me? That one I don't know so well. 5 times 15 in my calculator gives me 75. Okay, ladies and gentlemen. So there you have it. We figured out how to give juice to everybody using our recipe. First, we took our ratio, and using that ratio, we figured out how many batches we were going to need, and then we just took the batches and multiplied our ratio by the number of batches we were going to need. Basically, we were doubling or tripling the recipe. In some cases, we were making 40 batches, 24 batches, but essentially, it's all the same thing. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to now have you start your homework, take your time, ask loads of questions, and have fun.